Hi everybody. Today you can see I'm standing in front of a Honda VFR800FI. This is a 2001 model. And if you've been following my channel, you'll see that I've been working on some interesting bikes. What I've done here is something a little different. This motorcycle is quite a sophisticated bike, even though it's 2001. So Marek, another one.
different
kettle of fish, eh?
But nice.
Some people reckon this was the best motorcycle ever made. And that would, of course, depend on what brand you like, but across the board, people feel this is a really good motorcycle. And I picked this motorcycle up for 750 pounds. And I think, you know, if you think what you can spend that money on, it's quite incredible what you can get. So at the moment, if I do this, the light doesn't go off and the FI light doesn't go off. So we're going to swap that out. Okay, new one is in. Let's see. Exactly the same. Okay, well, it could be something slightly different. So maybe the ECU is not damaged. Let's do a PSI test now. Yeah, that's pretty good. Wow, I've never seen it that high. Okay, also very good. This is where we start to find problems. Both blown. All right, let's see what kind of mess we have in the fuel pump in the tank. Tank looks good and clean inside. All right, let's have a look at this. First thing I notice is this switch is really corroded. So let's get this plugged on and see if there's any life in it. No, nothing. So as you can see, I stripped it down only to inspect the electricals. It's the electrical issue was the reason why it was sold, and now I know that this was not a simple spark issue. It has to do with a lot more, or maybe still something very simple like a ground. So I'm kind of stuck with this, which is not a bad thing, because this is kind of where I start to pick up the pace in terms of my learning on things like this. I think the next big challenge is to look at the HIS system, which is an immobilizer system that runs on a coded key. So stick with me on this project. It's going to be great when it starts up, and I hope you will subscribe and press that notification bell for when this bike starts and when we take it for a ride. Okay, this is super exciting. Okay, I found something fairly significant. This wire doesn't have continuity in it. And we're talking about the HIS system. So I'm cutting, I'm terminating, got a similar gauge wire, brown, going through the loom. I'm going to solder that on and see if that can't improve things. Okay, so I've fitted the cable back in again, and let's see, remember that light would not go off, so fingers crossed. I mean, there was definitely a problem with that, so I'm hoping that'll just make a difference. Let's see. Oh man, look at that. And I heard it prime. With a little bit of persistence, I've solved it. It took a little while, a little bit of detailed inspection of all the wiring, and a lot of luck. Good day. Now, one of the first things I want to do is just see how thick the oil is with dirt. All right, looks fine. Doesn't look too bad. And feel for any bits and pieces. This will soften up the rubber a little bit. I bought a replacement radiator when I saw this. What we have is Steely Dan 1993, live at the shoreline. Love Steely Dan, always will. I think that should be it for now. No, still more. I think this has got to be one of the dirtiest bikes I've ever worked on. It's completely caked. Right, there's a little vegetable patch in here. What you got to look for in reusing pipes is any cracking or any dryness in this rubber. Just replace them. They're just not worth the risk. But I thought I'd just clean these up and just see how supple they were. And I think these were definitely replaced at some point. Not looking promising, is it? Some battles you just lose. There you go. Because they're so damned expensive, and I don't just want to automatically assume this fuel pump is knackered, but I do know one thing: it was sitting in very old, stinky fuel. What I've done is I've put in some of this very aggressive speed bicycle chain greaser into the filter. I'm pretty sure it won't do any damage to it, but I blew it through and it was pretty clean. Now I'm going to put something less aggressive in here, like an alcohol, and you'll see what comes out the other side is very clean, so I'm quite satisfied that this will work. Now what you don't do is with a fuel pump, because of what's inside here temporarily, you don't want to be able to blow the gauze out or anything, so put some low pressure in and blow it out and just see how much grime or dirt you get in your hand. You can see nice and clean. The thing about alcohol is it breaks the solvents down of any of this ethanol, which is dreadful stuff. It just congeals, and with a little bit of pressure you can see it atomizes quite well. So I'm happy to put that back in. There we go, let it dry out, and really, that should be it. That's a super glue with an activator will work. All right, there we go. Right, that pump is now ready to go. I've got to strip this all back. I don't want any flaws in this at all. I've got my trusty cup of coffee. Let's get to work. Okay, let's look at how you can test and at the same time clean injectors. Now, it doesn't really matter which way around you put the current. I'm using the 12-volt battery that comes out of the bike, and you'll hear a clicking sound. Sorry, there's a fan going in the background because it's still cold. So I'll just stick the one in. Luckily, this sort of jams in nicely without damaging the terminal. It sits there quite nicely, and then you hear a clicking sound. You hear that? Now you just blow. You see that was blocked. So that one was just slightly blocked, but it seemed to blow out, which is great. It's probably a mixture of congealed fuel in the ethanol is this dreadful stuff. Now I bought this kit from Master Injector UK. Now these guys were brilliant. I think this set cost me £25 or something like that for the full kit. Really easy website, very helpful, much cheaper. But to get the filter out, you need a fat screw. Take the injector, spin it onto the end. That's broken off. These ones are really solid in there. So now I'm going to have to pry this out with a screwdriver. Now, some people might be concerned about the dirt that you find inside the injector after all this messing around. So we just give it a clean out. Press it down, you'll see, just give it a little wiggle in, and it's flush. And then an O-ring. And that's it, done. Guess what's just happened? Okay, we've got some drastic measures. This will not come out. This is seized in here, so I'm gonna cut this off. I've tacked the exhaust pipe bits that I had to cut off. I've tacked them roughly with an arc welder, grind all that away, and then do a nice MIG weld and get that fixed again. Maybe, just maybe, I can reuse this. There we go. Rejoin. Yeah, it's like new. Right, it's going for first wash. In a long time. As long as I can work on it and it's clean, that's all that bothers me. This is how dirty. So I'm trying to work on it and I want things to be clean. got the new copper rings in. This is notoriously difficult to fit in, so I'm not going to be able to film this, unfortunately. I just want to show you what the pipes are in. You don't want them too tight. So it looks like my experiment worked to re-weld these and reuse this exhaust pipe. This is now done. It's not the prettiest weld, but it'll do for now. One step closer. Right, back to the business of the bike. The exhaust pipe is now on. It's been quite a mission. I'm just waiting on Honda to send me the parts. It's really taken too long, in my opinion. But now I'm going to get the thermostat in, and I'll build a throttle body today. Once I can get that in, I can pressure the system and see if that red light goes off on the FI. And then we can at least run the engine, just see if everything's okay. If everything's okay, then we can finish up with the cleanup, and I'll get onto these panels as soon as I can. Obviously I'm quite keen to get onto them and spray them that slightly brighter red. I know some of the VFR guys will freak out, but when it's finished, you'll see it's a very dead red. Well, in daylight this will be what I consider a bit of a Ferrari red, which has got a bit of yellow in it, makes it slightly a bit more iridescent. See, it's kind of like punky, don't like it. So it's a very, very slight change. And if it doesn't work, Sylvia, I can always respray it again, but it will. I'm suspecting that while the previous owner was looking for the electric fault, he cut through the loom. He cut through the loom to check these grounds. These are centered grounds. They all come to a point, but they don't touch each other, strangely enough. They're just allocated here. And sometimes you can get resistance, high resistance in these, they burn. So he obviously looked on the forum and found that somebody had had this problem before. I'm just going to tape it all back up again. Yes. I can't find this rubber anywhere. Okay, it's broken, but I can fix it. Someone's got heavy-handed with this. Maybe it doesn't work. Try and put that switch back together. Okay, I'm going to try and make this an old gasket from the thermostat. Let's get this shiny stuff cleaned up. There's the switch. See the difference? There you go, you can see the finesse. It's as good as I'm going to bother, especially after the manufacturer side had more scratches on it than by the time I finished this side. throttle body is now built. It'll go in when Honda send their parts. Going to give the bike the best possible chance to impress us. Iridium spark plugs, I call them. Okay, I've just taken the oil filter out. So we'll fill it up just past the full mark because the oil has still got to go up this pipe and into the oil cooler, which will take up. So once it's run through the system, it'll drop probably about halfway. Put water in, so far no leaks, so we'll see once we get pressure into the system if I'm going to have any problems with these pipes that I've reused. Well, we can only try, and if they don't work then we'll just replace them. We're good to go. Yes! So she runs now. Engine sounds really, really good. I don't know what to say. You just never get used to it. It comes to life and it does what it's supposed to do. I was like this with the Enfield, really, really excited. So, yeah, it's fantastic. So we just have to figure out why the fuel injector light is still flashing. But she runs, that's the main thing, and the engine sounds really sweet. I want to bring some of the new plastic in and to finish off the repair.